A man who killed his pregnant partner and 3 children in a brutal, vicious and cruel attack at a sleepover will die behind bars. Damien Bendall admitted murdering Terry Harris, 35, and her 2 children, John Paul Bennett, 13, and Lacey Bennett, 11, as well as Lacey's friend Connie Gent, 11. The 32-year-old also admitted the rape of little Lacey at Derby Crown Court this morning. The 4 victims were found dead at their home in Chandos Crescent, Killarmarsh, near Sheffield, on September 19, 2021.
Basically, I need the police and the ambulance and that, because I've killed 4 people.
Okay, just hold the line. Bear with me.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Alright, come to me. Right. Mate, have you got anything on you that you shouldn't have? No, there's no weapons or nothing. Right.
Right, do you just want to undo your coat? Have you armed yourself?
Yeah.
You have?
Have you stabbed yourself, mate?
I can see blood on your hands.
Yeah. Anywhere else?
Just my chest, 4 inches in with a bread knife.
Can we have a look?
Yeah, and 1 on the stomach. I bled quite.
Right, do you want
to
yes.
Can we go down
No, just stay there.
I just don't want to be in front of them.
Alright, just around the corner.
Just walking wounded at the minute.
Alright, stand here. Stay here.
Right,
so,
we told you, I know what's going to happen to you now, mate.
Well, I know it's going to happen when you go to prison, obviously, again.
Why, what have you done? Have you done something to anyone else?
Yeah.
What have you done?
I've murdered 4 people.
He's been calm and compliant, but he's got some stab wounds to his chest. They're not oozing blood, but he's saying that his family are inside and that he believes he has murdered them.
do you want to go?
Are you alright for me to go in?
Yeah.
Damien, it's 07:47 hours. I'm arresting you on suspicion of murder. You don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence. Do not mention when questioned something later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence. Your arrest is necessary to protect you from harm, to prevent your disappearance, for a prompt and effective investigation. Okay? We're going to get you up, we're going to put you in the back of the van. Stand up.
Bendall is said to have committed the murders at some point between September 17 and the time the 4 victims' bodies were found. He killed them at the home he shared with Ms. Harris in what prosecutor Louis Mabley KC told the court were brutal, vicious and cruel attacks on a defenseless woman and 3 young children. Mr. Mabley KC, opening the case, said Lacey was likely to have been raped at least twice by Bendall. Connie had only been due to stay over for 1 night, but successfully got permission from her mother, fatefully extending her stay by another night, coinciding with Bendall's attacks, the court heard. What also emerged was that having brutally killed Ms. Harris and the children, Bendall took John's Xbox games console, ordered a taxi, went to Sheffield, where he then exchanged the console for drugs, Mr. Malby said. Bendall would later tell police he had consumed 3 to 4 bags of cocaine and then blacked out. This gives an indication of the sheer callous depravity of the defendant's conduct that night, said Mr. Mabley. Bendall entered the guilty pleas at Derby Crown Court on Wednesday. Ms. Harris and the children were found dead at her home in Chandos Crescent, Killamarsh, in northeast Derbyshire, near Sheffield, on September 19 last year. Mr. Mabley, opening the case, said, on the night of Saturday, September 18, 2021, stretching into the early hours of September 19, the defendant brutally and viciously murdered his then-partner, Terry Harris, who is aged 35 and was in the early stages of pregnancy. He also murdered Terry's 2 children, by a previous partner, her 13-year-old son and 11-year-old daughter Lacey, and he murdered Connie Gent, also aged 11. She was a friend of Lacey's who just happened that evening to be staying at Lacey's house for a sleepover. Nearly all the victims had defensive injuries, indicating they had tried to fight off Bendall after he launched his attack sometime after 9:42 p.m. that evening. Mr. Mabley told the court, the circumstances of these offences are truly hideous and dreadful. These were brutal, vicious and cruel attacks on a defenseless woman and 3 young children. The defendant attacked them using a claw hammer which he used to hit them over the head and on the upper body. It was perfectly clear none of the victims stood a chance. Mr. Mabley said, it does appear each victim was attacked in a different room, and appears he went around the house looking for them, attacking them each in turn, in order to kill them. One of the dreadful facts about this case is that during the attacks, the defendant raped Lacey, and this included raping her as she lay dying from the head wounds he had inflicted with the hammer. Bendall was arrested outside the house shortly after 7:39 a.m. on September 19, after his mother had rung 999 telling them he had reported stabbing himself. Body-worn video showed Bendall, who had 2 superficial knife wounds, calmly telling police, "I've murdered 4 people." Officers asked him, "Do you think you've killed your family inside their house?" Bendall replied, "No, I have killed them. There's 1 in the bathroom, 2 upstairs and 1 in another bedroom." Audio of the police search of the house was then played in court, with a male officer's voice catching with emotion as he said, "They're gone, they're gone. They're all gone." After his arrest, Bendall told officers at Ripley Police Station, "The whole house is covered in claret. I used the hammer. I didn't realize what I did until I walked into my room and saw my missus and my daughter." He then added, "Bet you don't usually get 4 murders in Killamarsh, do you?" "Well, 5 murders, because my missus was having a baby." Mr. Mabley told Mr. Justice Sweeney that a whole life order was necessary in the case because of the exceptional high level of seriousness, adding Bendall himself had agreed such an order was appropriate. Vanessa Marshall KC said her client, who has maintained having no memory of the event, agreed he should be handed a whole life order. She said, "His actions that night remain largely inexplicable and motiveless." She added that he had been happy about the forthcoming pregnancy, which would have been Bendall's first child. The defendant hopes the knowledge he will be spending a full whole life sentence behind bars for the rest of his life, where every day he is having to confront the demons of his actions, will provide some justice to these families, the lawyer said. The court heard that Bendall, who had previous convictions for robbery, attempted robbery and grievous bodily harm, had carried out the rape and murders while on a 24-month suspended sentence handed down at Swindon Crown Court in June 2021 for arson of a car he had tried to steal. Bendall had previously admitted manslaughter but denied murder and rape. With trial dates moved and hearings relisted, more than 15 months have passed since he was arrested. Sentencing Bendall for 4 counts of murder and 1 of rape, High Court Judge Mr. Justice Sweeney said family impact statements attested in moving terms to each victim who had been so horrifically taken away, and their families, utter devastation. The judge told him, "On your behalf, Bendall, it is accepted that the seriousness of your offences is so exceptionally high the court must make a whole life order. I agree. You are now aged 32 and have a significant background of violent offending, including robbery. As the prosecution have said, you carried out brutal, vicious and cruel attacks on a defenseless woman and 3 young children. The ferocity of the murders was such that the skulls of the victims were literally smashed in," the judge added. "Sincere sympathies, condolences and best wishes to all loved ones of the victims in this case. We pray you are granted the patience you so well deserve. And until next time, please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share."